Welcome back to Kim's Cozy Corner. I'm Kim, and today we are going to start filling some of our containers for our indoor garden. We are going to transplant some lettuce into some containers, and we're going to do something with all of these potatoes that are coming up. Look at that. Look at all the sprouts on the potatoes from the 2022 garden. So we're going to put those in a bucket, in a pot, and we're going to see if we can get some potatoes from those. Stay with me and let's get started. The first thing that we're going to have to do is fill up all of our containers. So I have 2 layers for my GreenStalk. These are leaf layers or tiers for my GreenStalk. They're 7 inches deep. They take about 6 gallons of soil each. I have this very long pot. I think it's considered a self-watering pot that I'm going to add some of the lettuce to. And then I also have some containers to put the potatoes in. For the soil, I am using a standard potting mix that you can get from your local hardware store or your Home Depot, your Lowe's. I mean, you could probably get it from your grocery store or your local nursery. And since it's not a high quality potting mix, I've added some perlite to it as well as some peat moss. And I've mixed it all together, and I have it in a bin right here to the side of me that we will use to fill all of our containers. So that's the first step, and that's what I'll be doing now. So let me get started with filling the containers. All right, let's stop for a minute here and talk about the GreenStalk. If you don't know what a GreenStalk is, I encourage you to check out my All Things GreenStalk video, which talks about GreenStalks and the benefits of having a GreenStalk and what you can grow in them. We've already got our GreenStalk set up. We have 3 tiers already in place, and we're going to add tiers to it today. The GreenStalk says, the instructions for filling your tier is to fill it to the fill line. And there's a fill line here across the top, and it says fill to top. So I wanted to make sure that my my potting soil mix is all the way to the top of the tier. The other thing that you want to do is make sure that your soil has some moisture already to it so that you're not trying to hydrate your soil for the first time already in the tower setup. So my soil is already hydrated. It's nice and moist. I filled it to the top. I'll add just a little bit more for good measure. And this tier is ready to go. Before I do the next tier for the GreenStalk, I want to make sure I don't run out of my potting soil mix before I get to the potatoes in this long pot here. So I'm going to fill this pot up next. I think we can call that good. So in this very long pot, I will be putting lettuce. Lettuce only needs about 4 inches of soil to actually grow in for the roots to have plenty of room. I believe I have about 5 inches in there, maybe a little bit more than 5, which is more than enough for lettuce, since lettuce is what I'm putting in here. So you need to understand the vegetables you're growing and understanding how much depth you need to your soil. So this pot is ready to receive the lettuce, but let's finish filling up all of our pots first. For the potatoes, we're going to do this slightly different. So when you're growing potatoes and you don't eat them fast enough, they put these eyes on them, or they chit is what some people call it when it gets the eyes on them. And so all of these itty bitty little potatoes were honestly too small for us to do anything with, but they're perfect to start your potatoes for the next year. So I'm going to pick through here and I'm going to find some that aren't like this, right? It's got a 12-inch eye on it, right? I'm going to find some good ones that have just the little short eyes on it because they're going to be perfect. So all of my potatoes are either Yukon Golds, Lay, which is from the Maine Potato Lady, is where I got all my potatoes from last year. And I do have some red potatoes. So I got some purple potatoes in here, some red potatoes, and then just your traditional white potatoes. So let me pick through here and find some potatoes that we can use to plant in our pot. All right. So I have picked through that potato mess. And I've found a handful of decent chitted potatoes. And so I know my potatoes are all organic. They weren't sprayed with any kind of inhibitors to keep them from sprouting or anything like that. And so these are going to be perfect to start this year's potatoes. And so I have some rose gold, which is the red potatoes here. I think this rose gold is very similar to a Yukon gold. I have two, I think they're called Magic Mollies, I think is what it's called. They're purple. And then plenty of little white potatoes. And so we are going to start by filling our container up to, I don't know, what is that, about 3 or 4 inches? And let's do that step, and then we'll talk about what happens next. All right. So I have the pot filled a good 3 or 4 inches from the bottom. And I'm going to add a little bit of my Mycos to the soil. Mycos is a mycorrhizal inoculation, which helps your roots grow, become nice and strong. So I'm going to add some of that to my mix. If I was in my outdoor garden, I would add some bone meal to this mix as well, but I just don't have any right now. So we got to make work with what we do. We have to make do with what we have. So I added the mycorrhizal Mycos. I'm going to place into the container. I'm going to do a couple layers because these are so small, but I'm going to put 4 on this layer here in this teeny little pot. And now I'm going to actually cover them up with another about 3 inches of soil. The only reason I'm going to cover them up with another 3 inches of soil is because we are going to wait until the green leaves breaks the ground before we fill this pot all the way up. So once we get everything in there, you'll understand what I'm talking about. But I'm going to add a little more Mycos. Now, these potatoes won't be ready in my grow tent. I'm just getting an early start before I get them outside into the outdoor garden. So potatoes will come in even earlier. So I got the Mycos in there, and I'm going to add another 4 baby potatoes to this pot. And this pot is actually pretty large. I just don't know the size. You want to make sure that your pot has good drainage holes as well. All right, now this is our last layer in this pot. I'm going to go about 3 inches of soil above that layer. And I promise you, potatoes will always find the light. All of those little sprouts will find the daylight, and we will have little green leaves before you know it. And there you have it. I have all the potatoes in here. My pot is about 3/4 of the way full. I have 3 inches of soil. I have 4 potatoes with the eyes facing up. I added another about 2 or 3 inches of soil. I added 4 more potatoes and then filled the pot until I knew I had a good solid 2 to 3 inches, probably more like 3 inches over that second layer of potatoes. This pot is done. The potatoes are ready to go. And the other good thing is that there's good drainage on this pot. So I want to make sure that this pot is sitting into a container where I can get drainage. When I water will come out the bottom, but I'll let it sit in there so it can reabsorb. So I won't let it sit long, right? Not for days and days in standing water. Just in case the water wicks, it can soak it back up from the bottom. That's one pot of potatoes done. Let's get ready and move to the second pot. For this pot is much, much smaller than the other one. And so I am only going to have one layer of potatoes in this pot. So I'm going to fill the pot not quite halfway full, and then we'll come and put the potatoes in. All right, that's just under half full. I'm going to add the micos. We want those roots to start off well, make us lots and lots of potatoes. Oh, I'm glad I checked that. Look at that, a huge rock in the soil. Remember I was telling you about your potting mix? This potting mix has this massive 2-inch rock in the soil. We don't need that in there, so we'll get that out. Okay, we're going to add these little baby potatoes in here. And there are two kinds of potatoes. They're like early potatoes, they're mid-season potatoes, and they're late potatoes. But that's not what I'm talking about right now. There are two types of potatoes. You have indeterminate and determinate potatoes. Determinate potatoes will sprout up and all the potatoes that it put on will be at one layer. Indeterminate potatoes, you'll put potatoes on, and as that stem grows, it'll add additional shoots. And so it will put potatoes on all the way up the stem as long as you keep adding dirt to cover the stem. And so for the potatoes that I have here, I don't remember if it's indeterminate or determinate potatoes. I know I had some of both. I just don't remember which is which. So we're going to use the method of covering the stem as it grows. So that's why we don't fill our pots all the way up. So let me get these potatoes in here. So now I have my potatoes in. I have all of the eyes facing up. And now I'm going to cover them up with another 2 or 3 inches of soil. And that's it. Once we start seeing the green leaves peek up from the ground and it gets tall enough that I can backfill with more soil, we will do that. But for now, we have enough soil over the potatoes to get them started. Again, this needs a good drainage container underneath to capture any excess water that comes out the bottom so it can reabsorb it if it needs it. And now I can go ahead and put the soil in the last tier for my GreenStalk. I didn't want to run short, so that's why I wanted to do that other step first. I have the next layer finished. And so now we're going to go ahead and start working on transplanting some of this lettuce that we planted on week 1. So let's start with, and I'm going to go ahead and do it right here because last time I filled my GreenStalk with them already put together. I'm going to take care of this layer, putting the transplants in prior to putting it on the GreenStalk. So let's do that first. We will be adding Bib and Little Jim. So the first thing you want to do is make yourself a little pocket here so that you can pop out those plants. And I like to make my green stalks like art, right? And every other one, so you can see the colors pop. Um, so I like to have a little fun with it as well. So one, I'm getting the vegetables out of it, but two, I want it to be a very, very beautiful presentation. So that's going to be our plan today. Now, little gems are a headed lettuce, but they are so tiny that I typically will put 2 or 3 into a cell, and I'll eat it more like a loose leaf lettuce versus a head of lettuce. I pretty much do that with all of my headed lettuce, with the exception of my romaine. Everything else, I'm going to pick it before it ever makes a head, which is young. It's usually tender and buttery and sweet. So you don't have to wait for it to be a head. The younger you pick it, the more tender and sweet it typically is. So I am going to put, that looks like 3 little gems in a pocket. And then for the bib is very similar. They make a very loose head. This one has too many though. I can't put all of these in the same one. So I am going to have to split this cell. And so with the lettuce, you know, usually they're ready to harvest in about 40 to 50 days. Some of them are even faster than that. But they have this wonderful, very loose root ball. Let me get close so you can see it. Very loose. So this right here is this is bib, and this is the little gem. So let's go back over here and get those in. I need to add my mycos before I go any farther, so let's get the mycos in there for root development. It only takes a teeny little bit of mycos. We're going to put the little gems in this one here. You want to kind of angle to the outside. If you're going to put it together before you stack up the GreenStalk, you have to remember you need to kind of angle it to the outside so that the other tier doesn't hit it. That's the little gem. For the bib, I'm going to separate it. So I'm just going to gently pull the 2 apart. And now I have 2. And I'm going to put it in. Look at this. More sticks. I'm going to put it in and kind of angling it to the outside. And that's it. I'm going to do this all the way around. I changed my mind. Last week, I tried to start some of the dark rhodon. Rhodon is a very deep reddish plant. It's gorgeous. I tried to plant this last week and I mislabeled and put in a salad bowl instead. So let's make sure we get a dark rhodon in here as well. So let's do that now. Label, label, label. Bringing a few more labels over here so I can make sure I keep everything labeled. Label, label, and label. Okay, let's get the dark rhodon in here. And I'm going to put one on this side. I'm going to put one on that side because this is a work of art. And of course, I'm planting more lettuce than I can ever use. So because I'm planting more than I can use, I'll be gifting some of this to some of my neighbors and my friends from work who've now have gotten into gardening, and they're learning the trade, and I'm teaching them along the way. And it was their inspiration and their comments and their feedback to me to start recording this and putting this on YouTube so others can learn, because it's not hard. A lot of people believe this is super hard, and it really isn't. So let's get this rhodon going. So let's see if I can put 2 in there. I don't know. They're kind of thick. They're thick. But what I'm thinking we will do is split them. And I'll put one on this side if I don't lose it. And I'll put the other one over there. When you're transplanting, you want to make sure that you put the dirt back in to the same level as the soil level is already on your transplant. So this is not like tomatoes. Tomatoes, you bury them deep to give them a stronger root and stem structure. You don't do that for lettuce. For lettuce and and quite a few other vegetables, you want the soil level to match the soil level from the transplant. Remember, kind of angle it out just a little bit. I forgot to put my mycos in there. Now the mycos is in there. I can get this in here to the same level. There's so many sticks in here. Oh my goodness. The soil is in horrible shape. And again, this little gem is actually in, there's not that many on this one. So I'm going to plant these little gem as one pocket. I'm going to pull them just to kind of give them a little extra room at the top. But I'm going to put that whole plug in there. If you've never had little gems, oh my goodness, they are so good. So, so good. And now we will put this last dark rodent in. I have dark rodent and then I have a little something else. Some other lettuce is hooked into the side here. So when I was planting my seeds, I mixed up some seeds just a little bit there. But this is good to go as well. I separated them just a little bit just to give them a little more room in here. I forgot I had that one. It's a dark rodent. Let me make a label so I don't forget. Okay. And this one's done. So it's a dark rodent. It's a little gem. It's a bib. It's a dark rodent. It's a bib and a little gem. So this is going to be a very beautiful layer when it starts really growing and sprouting up. So let me put this one to the side because I'm going to bring you into the tent when I add these layers. But let's set it to the side for now and let's work on filling up the other GreenStalk tier. What do we want to put in this tier? All the options. We have so many options. How about some more carrots? Let's put some carrots in here. I think that would, let's do a whole layer of nothing but carrots. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back and I changed my mind. I don't want to put carrots in here just yet because in my week 3 seed starting video, we are going to go ahead and start some dwarf tomatoes. And so I was thinking about putting dwarf tomatoes in this indoor grow tent. So I'm going to need that space. So I don't want to get ahead of myself. So we will not fill this one up yet. We will fill it up though, just not yet. And so we're going to go ahead and put this to the side and we're going to work on the very long pot. I'll be right back. One of the other things I like to do, and you know, some people would probably say you don't need to do that, but one of the things that I like to do is consolidate where I can. I don't have a lot of seed starting space, so it is imperative that I can maximize all of my trays. And so I have 2 plants in this one and 2 in this one. So guess what? We're going to put them together and we're going to have 1. I just have to remember to not mess up my label. The trays are the exact same size, so it should be easy to just pull and move these over. There you go. I have 1 tray, so where I initially had 3 today that I was working from, I'm down to 1. Now we're going to work on some of that romaine lettuce. 2 weeks ago, I started some Paris white romaine lettuce and some Cimarron romaine lettuce. We're going to transplant them in here. Hopefully, that's my plan anyway. Honestly, I think it really needs 1 more week, but I have this out. I'm going to do it now since I have time to do it. I'm going to go ahead and take care of this now. So in here, I'm going to do every other one. Again, it's art. It's art. Food art. That's what we'll call it. Food art. All right. So we have to separate this now because this is heads, right? Romaine lettuce grows up into a head, so we're going to have to do some separation. So let's see how much we got to work with. So this is Paris white, which is like a traditional romaine lettuce. Okay, there's one. That's not too bad. I got one out. There's two. And that's just some dirt. And three. And a baby one, but I'll probably clip that off later. So I have three of those. Now let's look for this Cimarron romaine lettuce. And let's see how we can separate this one out. Oh, that was easy. There's one. Oh, look at that. This is going to be easier than I thought. There's one and one. I got three in each. I have room for more, so let's keep it going. Instead of going straight down the middle, I'm going to zigzag in the pot, which will allow me to plant them closer together to allow for more plants. So let's see how we can do with the zigzagging. By zigzagging, I am able to put basically 2 rows in this pot instead of 1. So let's keep going. So if Miss Shaky Fingers over here had truly put 2 in the cells like I was trying to do, we wouldn't have any extra right now. Oh, just keeping it real. Just keeping it real. All right. So I think we're going to stuff all of these in here. And I know I'm putting too many in, but I'll pick some young, which will make room for others to grow into that bigger head. Again, I usually don't let it get to a nice, big, massive head. I'm usually picking along the way. We usually have salads every day of some kind. I've even gotten into making my own salad dressing. So we'll spend some time in the kitchen doing that as well on one of my days where we're just hanging out in the kitchen. And stick this in here. That's one down. Again, you only want to plant it to the depth of the soil from the transplant. There's 2. Super easy. And I'm an amateur. I know there's going to be some messes in here. It's not going to be perfect, but we are going to have fun doing it anyway. And even if I mess up, it was still cheaper than buying a bag of lettuce at the store. I think I paid $2 for my seed packs from M.I. Gardner. $2 for a pack of seeds that has, I think, 200 or 300 in it. So if I only get half of those in transplant, so 100 plants, and a bag of salad is 1 plant, how much money have I saved? I'll let you do the math on that one. And I'm just going to do this all the way down. I'll fast forward it so you're not sitting there watching me. That's it. It's ready to go. Can you see it? So I ended up with 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13 plants in here, but this one might not make it. But there are 13 plants in here. They're planted way too close together. There should be about 10. So I have about 3 more than I really wanted in here. But so I need to clean my mess up, and we need to move over into the grow tent so you can see where I'm putting this and how we're going to set this up, because the grow tent's only a 5x5. We'll get it in there. All right, we're back. We are in the grow tent. So before I show you the final presentation of the grow tent, with all of the different pots that we started today, I want to add the next 2 layers to the GreenStalk. And that'll be the last 2 layers we add inside my indoor grow tent for the indoor garden. And knowing that all of this will be taken outside when the season commences for outside. But we have 3 layers already here. For those who don't know, we set the GreenStalk up about a week ago, and we added black seeded Simpson in here. That's what this is here. We have red salad bowl in here, black seeded Simpson again in both of those. We have a green salad bowl, which we weren't supposed to put that in there, but oops, it happens. But at least we caught it before it started growing, and we were like, oh, what's that mystery lettuce? But it's black seeded Simpson, salad bowl lettuce, and red salad bowl lettuce. in the other pocket, so every other pocket has carrots in it. And carrots take, honestly, anywhere from 14 to 21 days to break ground. And I've actually had it take longer than that, but we have carrots in every other one. The bottom tier has nothing in it yet, but we will be putting bok choy in the bottom tier, which we will be planting as part of week 3 seed starting. So just to kind of keep you along the way of everything that we're doing in here. So we're going to get ready and add the next 2 layers. So this is no longer going to be the top. So I need to remove this and add a gray watering tray. All right. When you add the gray watering tray, there are holes all the way around on the gray watering tray. And you want to put the hole, you want to line it up with a pocket. So, and there's a little mark here to kind of help you know where to line it up. It's lined up perfectly. And so now I'm going to add the layer that actually has the lettuce that I've already pre-transplanted prior to adding it to the tower. So let me go grab that and we will put that on next. All right, I need to let it fall all the way down in and sit properly. I just wanted to make sure that I'm still in the camera here. Here we go. All right. Voila, it fell right in. You heard it go ploop. So we need to add another gray watering tray because we filled up 2, remember? So I need to make sure I line up my holes properly. Last week I didn't put enough dirt in. I had to go back and add dirt. This week I did a really good job. So now we are going to add the next tray. I needed to move my camera around a little bit because I want to make sure you can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to get ready and add the next layer. And I've already told you how I like to mix things up. So I have a stone along with my chocolates in the colors of my tiers here. There we go. Fell right in. And now we need to put the actual top watering tray back on. And there you have it. This is the complete tower for my growing space. All right, so let's look at this setup here. So there's one of our containers of the potatoes that we planted today. There's the GreenStalk with all 5 layers. There's the container of romaine lettuce. And then over here is the container, the second container of potatoes. The GreenStalk is on a spinner. So if there's some areas in the tent that aren't quite getting enough light, it doesn't matter because every day it gets a little spin. So there you have it. We've filled up some potato containers. We've finished setting the GreenStalk up. We also have our romaine started over here. And that's a wrap. That's everything for the day. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give me a thumbs up if you like the video. Please subscribe to my channel. I will keep these coming. Have a wonderful, blessed day. Enjoy growing. Bye-bye.